Hello and welcome to another 10 Reacts, this time for the global launch and Cube of Rapacity season reveal for Torchlight Infinite. Now, this is part of a much longer video which you can find over on the Torchlight Infinite YouTube channel. I also streamed and reacted to it live, so this is kind of the second reaction. Though that said, unlike a lot of my other videos, this isn't really fully scripted. It's going to be kind of off the cuff, just what comes to mind, what I remember from before, what I've been thinking about since. So don't expect perfection, you get what you get, and that's about all it's going to be. That said, I do have quite a bit of thoughts, so I'm probably going to be pausing pretty frequently, and I won't be reacting to the developer interview that me and Milky did towards the end of this video, just because I think it's a little weird to react to myself. Reacting to Asmongold reacting to me would be all good fun. Josh Strife Hayes has done an excellent job of that. But reacting to myself, or reacting to myself, would just be weird. So I'll leave that kind of reactception to the professionals, and instead stick to giving my thoughts. But again, if you want to see that, and I very much suggest that you do, as you'll have a lot of questions after this, do go watch the official video. For now, let's get into it. Touch the cube. The cube's trapped. And you touch the cube. Never trust cats. Try to not get copyright claim challenge. We'll see if I fail. If there's no audio here, it means that I did.
Hey everyone, it's Ian here from the operations crew. You must know by now that our new season's theme is the captivating Cube of Rapacity. Now let me walk you through some of the exciting highlights in this fresh season. First up, let's talk about the Cube of Rapacity's season's gameplay. In both the main story and Netherrealm stages, you might run into monsters that mark with greed by the Cube of Rapacity. When you defeat these unique mobs, you will receive a Desire Crystal, an item exclusive to that map and can be taken out of the map. Once you've taken down the stage boss, the Cube of Rapacity will make its appearance. Offer it a specific number of Desire Crystals to receive random rewards. But beware, don't get carried away by greed, or you might anger the cube and lose all the rewards you've collected so far.
Okay, so I'm calling it right now. People are 100% going to anger the cube. They're just going to go greed, greed, greed. Oh, it's offering me 2 FE? Double it. 4 FE? Double it. 8 FE? Double it. 16 FE? Oh, it didn't give it to me? All right, that's the game's fault. I definitely didn't make 4 bad decisions in a row. Calling it now, happens every time. If players have an option to optimize the fun out of a game in pursuit of loot, they will. If players have an option to gamble and make a huge risk, they will. And at the end of the day, it's going to make for some pretty epic moments.
The Cube of Rapacity will also attract unique and powerful bosses and special monsters in each stage, which will introduce new challenges and greater rewards in the stage clearing experience.
Hopefully, they last more than 2 or 3 seconds, because I suspect what's going to happen with most of those is, at season start, it'll be pretty tough. After you get your character up and running, it just pops instantly and you don't even notice it.
We've introduced a new talent called Average Code, exclusive to this season's gameplay, that lets you alter the rewards or challenges presented by the Cube of Rapacity.
I really like this. My biggest complaint about the Black Sail season mechanic was I didn't feel like I had a lot of control. Sure, there were strategies. In fact, I wrote the guide on those strategies. Those strategies were effective and reliable, but it still often felt like I was using a strategy to work with what the game gave me, rather than having the game give me what I want because of my strategy. And so I really like the level of control that the Average Code is offering.
This means you can enjoy a totally unique gaming experience with different season talent strategies at a very small cost. Of course, there's much more to the season exclusive gameplay than just this. When you draw rewards from the Cube of Rapacity, you might also get a Cube of Craving instead, which is packed with even rarer and more valuable prizes. Additionally, The Cube of Rapacity drops a unique item known as Desired Beads. Desired Beads represent the physical embodiment of Cube of Rapacity's sway over human desires. Black market merchants are more than happy to trade their most precious wares for those coveted items.
So, just some quick math. 50 from a cube, 3 flame elementium was 400. That's looking like about a third of a flame elementium for those 50 desire beads.
The special monsters I mentioned earlier will also drop an item known as Desired Core. Desired Cores serve as tokens to challenge new supreme boss called Lord Bearer. As the supreme judge of the High Court of Desire, this formidable enemy presents a tougher challenge for hunters than ever before.
It looks like, instead of an ARPG, you're going to be playing some more bullet hells. The Lord of a Void Sea in Season 2, Black Sail, was quite bullet hellish, and the Lawbearer is now also a bit of a bullet hell. Though I guess if you make an immortal build and just tank it, maybe you'll be fine not dodging anything.
Upon defeating the Lord Bearer, players can expect to receive special and incredibly attractive items, including the season's new precious item, Unifying Wedge, which can be used to restore divinity slates. The Divinity Slate I mentioned earlier plays a crucial role in the Statue of the New God development system in this new season. The New God has bestowed upon hunters a fresh talent panel, Statue of the New God. Unlike previous talent panels, hunters can now combine and place multiple Divinity Slates on the Statue of the New Gods, granting them potent buffs.
This looks really cool. This is Cluster Jewels for Torchlight Infinite, and it looks to bring all of the brokenness, power, and customization that Cluster Jewels brought to PoE's skill tree.
Each Divinity Slate is associated with a specific god and can hold up to 2 random talent affixes related to that god. This allows hunters to tap into the power of the 6 gods without being constrained by the differences among the gods. Hunters can also enhance Divinity Slates through a unique branding method. However, once branded, these Divinity Slates become untradeable.
So I wonder what these numbers mean, because there's 3 numbers, a plus, a promotion symbol, and a mana symbol? I don't know. Kind of interesting. I would assume it tells you something about how you're modifying it. Hopefully there will be more information about this very soon, because I can't wait to try using the new Divinity Slate system.
Successful branding either adds a new affix or upgrades an existing one. During the enhancement process, there's a slim chance of converting an upgraded, powerful affix into the new god's exclusive talent affix, known as the Divine Entropy. Divine Entropy grants hunters the ability to control the order and chaos. Keep in mind though, each Divinity Slate can only be branded a limited number of times, making it more challenging to acquire Divine Entropy. Unwanted Divinity Slate can be broken down into Divinity Fragments, which can either be crafted into new random Divinity Slates or traded freely. The new god has also granted hunters access to new legendary Divinity Slates.
Okay, so Devour nullifies, but then 30% new god talent effect means you're devouring talents that might already exist on your items to make a really, really good slate that much better. And core talents won't be affected, meaning you could have some stats removed and other stats kept. Then there's the Order and Chaos, which seems to be a rotating buff. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of rotating buffs a lot of the time, unless there's a way to keep it all the way on one side or all the way on the other, because 0.12% additional lightning, really good. Whereas 0.12% additional lightning for every point randomly rotating, not nearly as good.
These powerful slates come with Divine Entropy, amplify the effects of the Order and Chaos, and even enable hunters to consume the power of the 6 gods for even more powerful buffs. Having covered the season exclusive gameplay and the new system, it's finally time to unveil the new heroes.
Hey, I'm talking to you! Where did you lock up, you old man? You wanted to lock me up too? I am Bing!
So remember when Bing got the ChatGPT integration and everyone was like, I know it's doing some weird stuff. Apparently, it also knew how to make bombs, and this is the end result. explosions everywhere, and hopefully a lot of fun.
No place in this world can confine an escape.
Just a little bit.
Artist!
This looks like better Torino.
It isn't here. Not here either. Get out of my way! Moto, you old man, where are you? Forget it. There's nothing an explosion won't solve. I'm just like an explosion, and an explosion is just...
You rascal! Is this how you save someone?
Calm down, old man. Check out the fireworks. If we don't blow up this broken world, how can we create a new one?
So that's where you got the idea from.
Bing, also known as the Escapist, famed for his flashy and powerful explosive skills. Anything that lingers in his hands for even a moment turns into a powerful bomb, constantly causing trouble for him, and that's why Bing's survival hinges on exceptional ability to escape. Escapist Bing's first hero trait, Blast Nova, loads projectiles into his beautifully crafted yet deadly bombs, which explode in a star-shaped pattern upon detonation. This enables Bing to take down enemies from more distant and secure positions. While Bing's bomb throwing speed remains constant, hunters can learn traits that enable him to throw multiple bombs at once. Covertly attach bombs to enemies or at
So it looks like you're going to have a fixed throw speed, but speed equals more bombs, and more bombs equals more damage, so you're still able to use speed stats to scale your damage. Also, attaching bombs to enemies, should make clear way easier, because mobs tend to wander near each other, they tend to funnel in to attack you, and then they all blow each other up.
special effects to bombs when thrown. The more bombs on the battlefield, the greater the explosion damage inflicted on enemy caught in the blast. In essence, tossing as many bombs as possible before setting them off is key for Escapist Bing to deal massive damage.
Which means Escapist Bing is kind of like a blast chain miner from Path of Exile. I wonder if that means there's going to be a separate detonation button for his bombs. Right now the UI isn't being shown on screen, but I'd be very curious about that. Something else that I'm curious about is, can you get those Nova projectiles to somehow overlap and shotgun? I would assume not, but if you can, think of all the damage that would be.
Thea's hero trait, Incarnation of the Gods, emerged when Thea ceased to be a mere conduit for the gods' will and opted to become a scepter-wielding deity in her own right.
I have to say, character model-wise, this is the best I've seen so far in Torchlight Infinite. That is a really good-looking character model.
Similar to Wisdom of the Gods, Incarnation of Gods consumes blessings with its hero trait skills to grant short-term explosive buffs. What sets Incarnation of the Gods apart from Wisdom of the Gods is that its divine realm doesn't really deal damage directly. Instead, it aids Thea in converting the gods' blessings. When Thea is outside her divine realm, she transforms her tenacity blessings into agility blessings, carrying out the Goddess of Hunting's edicts. This enables her to deal unimaginable damage to enemies with full life, based on the number of agility blessing stacks. Against powerful enemies who are unwilling to be punished, Thea can enter her divine realm, which converts agility blessings into tenacity blessings, allowing her to borrow the power of the God of the Might, which grants her a defense boost according to the number of tenacity blessing stacks and deals a lot damage to enemies with low life.
Which immediately raises three questions. 1, can you stack enough agility blessings to one-shot bosses? 2, do you want to kind of realm dance, where you set up a bunch of damage on full life, then go into your realm and finish off a low life enemy? 3, can you stack enough defenses via tenacity blessings to become immune to damage? And does this convert all the blessings so that you double dip? I'm very curious about all of these things.
However, becoming the Incarnation of the Gods comes at a significant cost. As Thea gains divine power, her fragile body must withstand unbearable negative effects.
Okay, so that doesn't seem too bad so far. It means that your burst window is smaller, but she might be a more powerful burst mage than the original Thea.
If she cannot overcome these challenges, her transformation into a god will only lead her to a trap of her own making.
Oh, 1% additional damage taken for every 4% missing life. That's kind of a rough one. Though, if you're never missing any life, you don't take any additional damage. So just have really good recovery.
Thus, this hero trait requires hunters to strategize about acquiring the god's blessings and entering the divine realm at the right moment to convert divine powers. They must also find ways to cope with a series of negative effects. The new hero Escapist Being can be unlocked by purchasing the Season Pass once the open beta begins, while the new hero trait Incarnation of Gods can be acquired with Primal Crest or traded for hero emblems.
This is a really good change. In the past, the new hero traits would be Primal Crysts only, so $15 in the shop, and then the next season available for hero emblems. Now it looks like they've changed that up a bit. One new character on the battle pass, I think that's perfectly fair. If you're making a game, you need your development to be sustainable, and asking for $15 every 3 months from players, perfectly reasonable. On the other hand, what if it's 30? What if it's 45 if 3 characters come out? Well, now sure, if you want everything, you will have to pay some money. That goes to support the devs and continue the development. But if you only want one, then there's a chance you can just earn it through gameplay, and that is honestly great. Plus, it means it's a lot easier for players who want to collect all the characters, even if they don't plan to play them immediately, to get access to certain things sooner.
In this season, the new skills added are mainly sentry skills, followed by 1 Shadow Strike skill and 1 Summon skill. Thunder Spike is a fresh Shadow Strike skill. When you land a critical strike with Thunder Spike, it's guaranteed to inflict shock on enemies with a certain area. If the shadows of Thunder Spike scores a critical strike on shocked enemies, shock damage is applied 1 additional time to those hit by the shadows. With a high critical strike rating and numerous shadows, this skill can efficiently inflict shock on enemies within range and apply shock damage. This makes Thunder Spike a standout skill for clearing maps or battling tough enemies.
I wonder if that means you're going to be fully consuming the shock, 12 total shock inflictions, instantly by stacking a bunch of shadows. Also, what if you multi-strike it with Erica? Then each time you get bigger and bigger and bigger shocks that are instantly consumed? If so, that could be a pretty darn awesome build. Thunder Slash 2.0, now we're clearing, boys.
Ghost Blade Inheriar, the sentry skill. Ghost Blade Inheriar summons a dagger-wielding Inheriar that targets and attacks one nearby enemy, dealing damage based on the hunter's weapon damage. Its unique feature is that it inherits the hunter's multi-strike chance bonuses. When Ghost Blade Inheriar performs the final blow of a multi-strike, it triggers a violent explosion at the target and gains additional damage bonus based on the multi-strike chance. Furthermore, for each additional projectile quantity, Ghost Blade Inheriar targets one more nearby enemy. This allows hunters to adjust Ghost Blade Inheriar's rapid clearing ability according to their specific needs.
Okay, that should be really awesome on Erica, because you get absolutely massive chains. And it's kind of interesting that you have a sentry skill that functions a little bit more like a minion. Kind of reminds me of Ancestor Totem skills from PoE, where it's not actually a minion, at least to my understanding, but it functions a lot like one. And scaling off of multi-strike might mean you want long multi-strike chains for even bigger damage, or shorter ones to cause explosions. Though additional projectiles targeting other enemies means map clearing shouldn't be too bad either.
Arrow Inheriar summons an Inheriar armed with bow and arrows. It fires 3 arrows into the sky, dealing area damage based on the hunter's weapon damage upon landing. Arrow Inheriar's arrows can deal damage to the same enemy when they land. This means that when multiple Inheriar are present on the battlefield simultaneously, they can carpet bomb enemies in a vast area and inflict massive damage on a single target.
So what you're saying is this is basically just Toxic Rain Ballista, which is pretty cool. I'm a little worried about the clear here, at least with one. But then again, very often when developers show off new skills, they're doing so to show the gameplay rather than the giga clear speed that we will all ultimately accomplish. So I can't fault the preview too much here. It looks a little slow, but it could very well be that we're going to have 5 of these things and they're all going to be AoEing the entire screen, but then it just becomes a green nightmare and you can't see anything. If you get the reference, let me know down in the comments.
It's important to note that arrow inherior's damage increases over time. So when facing tough enemies, avoid hastily summoning new inherior, as this could remove your initial arrow inherior and actually reduce your damage.
The whole Anhiriar archetype is really interesting. I hope that there's going to be more new and unique ways to scale things. Skills that interact with multi-strike, skills that interact with the kind of ramping up on a single target. Now, I don't know if that means you want sentry duration or if you just want a bunch of them and you blast the boss before it matters. Ultimately, I do think that the first skill is the more popular one and or the more likely to be successful, but both are cool concepts, and I like that they're trying different things.
Thunder Core is a lightning spell sentry that periodically unleashes several thunder strikes at nearby enemies, dealing area damage. The number of thunder strikes released by Thunder Core benefits from the jump bonus, chaining enemies together in a lightning grid to inflict damage over a large area. When targeting a single enemy, Thunder Core concentrates all its thunder strikes on that enemy.
Wait, so you're telling me that you can stack up a bunch of chains, so your sentries really efficiently clear maps. Then on a boss that just converts over to single target? Now that is a skill that I can get behind. And if it's as broken as it sounds, if it has good damage scaling, it could be one of the builds to watch for Torchlight Infinite's Cube of Rapacity season.
I hope Thunder Core will offer robust firepower support for hunters in all situations. Frost Core is a unique code spell sentry that fires spiral projectiles, bouncing between enemies as they strike. What sets Frost Core apart is its ability to extract frostbite rating from enemies, significantly increasing the damage dealt by each hit. However, if a hunter plays too many Frost Cores, excessive frostbite rating will be consumed after just one volley of attacks. As a result, it's essential to effectively increase enemies' frostbite rating and balance the consumption of Frost Core. Thus,
which is why you play this on Gemma's Frostbitten Heart, and stack a bunch of extra frostbite rating on the tree and your gear. You can, I'm pretty sure, get to close to 100% per hit, and then you just hit by multi-triggering or using really any cold skill, Icy Ring, maybe just start teleporting around like the build that I played on Gemma last season. Should be pretty easy for frostbiting everything, and then the cores will go to work doing massive single target damage.
Maximizing its benefits. Summon Green Phantom is a new synthetic troop summon skill. Green Phantom attacks targets with beam skills, and its beam skills become more potent as hunters grow stronger. Every few beam attacks, the next beam will cover a wider range and deal higher damage. Unlike other synthetic troop skills, when using a Summer Green Phantom skill, there's no need to manually activate it. The Green Phantom is automatically summoned periodically until the upper limit is reached. When hunters actively use this skill, they promote all Green Phantoms to instantly move to the target location and fire their destructive light cannon at the target, dealing high burst damage.
Okay, so we just saw a little bit of order calling gameplay there. But what happens when you blow them up? If it auto-summons, and you normally auto-summon with charge calling, are we going to have the fully AFK minion auto-bomber boss killer that we all wanted? I wonder. I'm sure Zen will be trying that at some point in the future.
We have prepared 13 new pieces of legendary gear for hunters in the Cube of Rapacity season. Today, I will introduce 2 pieces of legendary gear that have powers granted by the new god. The legendary belt, Law of the Supreme Will, has Order and Chaos buffs, which are a pair of mutually exclusive buffs provided by the new god. It causes the wearer to lose Order and gain Chaos. This legendary gear increases cooldown recovery speed and movement speed when you have a high amount of Order. To utilize this gear effectively, focus on defeating enemies before your Order runs out. The key to this is to kill enemies quickly before losing all of your Orders. The other legendary...
Okay, so maybe it's not quite a rotating buff. Maybe it's more of a you do something to get one and lose it over time, kind of like Rage or Corrupting Fever builds in PoE. In which case, I'm much more on board. It'll be a far more active playstyle, something that I won't want to do on every build, but something that could very well have a place, especially if I need higher damage, such as at the start of a season, and I'm more willing to put up with an active playstyle. Once I'm in max build, honestly, I just want to sit back and watch everything explode.
gear is called Breaking the Eternal Wrist. When equipping this gear, The blessings of the six gods bring unavoidable debuffs due to the going against the will of the gods effect. However, this pair of gloves also grants you the power to devour the power of the gods. Every 4 seconds, you'll devour all blessings of the six gods on you and release an empowered skill based on the number of blessings devoured. Thus, hunters using this piece of gear will need to strategize ways to deal with the negative effects while obtaining unique and powerful buffs.
I wonder if you can get blessings every 4 seconds. I don't remember off the top of my head, but if there's a way, then be sure to let me know down in the comments. Because if you can do that every 4 seconds, you get all the upsides and none of the downsides.
Hero relics and hero traits are closely related to one another. There are numerous legendary hero relics and legendary hero memories to choose from in the new season, which creates more build possibilities. In previous tests, the overall performance of the spell system was relatively weak, making it especially challenging to transition and progress smoothly in the mid-game. For this reason, we have designed Spell Burst, a new developed system for spells. With Spell Burst, hunters can consume Spell Burst stacks when using or triggering channeled spell skills. Based on the number of Spell Burst stacks consumed, they can automatically cast multiple spell skills in a burst within a short period of time, allowing for easy semi-automatic spell casting. Spell Burst is a powerful development system for spells. It enables hunters to have a relaxed and smooth map clearing experience while also allowing them to move around nimbly and avoid enemy damage. However, Spell Burst can only be consumed when it's at maximum stacks, so don't forget to upgrade the charge speed of Spell Burst when upgrading cast speed.
So that's kind of a cool system. It reminds me a little bit of Unleash from PoE, except it's Unleash from PoE that got all of the support that Intensify got, instead of being kind of sort of half abandoned. I like the idea of being able to use a channeling skill, especially one that you can channel while moving, and then unleashing a massive amount of damage without having to be a cast on crit build, or a cast while channeling build, or just a spell burst build. As someone who's been a little bit of a spell enjoyer, I very much look forward to seeing this new system, and hopefully it means that spells are actually king for once, or at the very least, they're very competitive.
We believe the addition of Spell Burst will bring spells to prominence this season. It's time for spells to reign supreme. Command is a new mechanic designed for summoning builds, specifically addressing the monotony of using synthetic troop minions due to the lack of related attributes that can be developed. By adding Command, we have introduced additional development paths for synthetic troop minions and significantly increased the damage dealt by synthetic troops. Since Command will always drop down to 0 quickly, changing the combat rhythm on synthetic troop minions can be achieved by developing Command. Hunters can choose to develop Command in a stable manner to ensure it is always within a certain range, allowing synthetic troop minions to deal consistent damage. Alternatively, special development methods can be employed to gain a large amount of Command in a short period of time, making synthetic troop minions attack wildly in an instant to deal massive burst damage. However, this approach may cause you to lose all of your Command quickly after bursting. As a result,
So basically, you have passive bonuses and big old bonuses, which is very much like how PoE's rage system works. You can either hit enemies to build up rage, in which case you'll have a lot of nice passive bonuses, or you can use Berserk for absolutely massive bonuses, but it all goes away really, really quickly and can't be sustained. Personally, I tend to like the more well-sustained systems than the big bursty ones, but if you kill the boss in the big burst, then not being able to sustain it no longer matters, and I like that minions are getting this new option. I always like it when devs add stats that allow you to fill out your build by balancing different options. If building is very one-dimensional, like minions were, where you kind of had to use the Warden's Breast Pin, otherwise your only ways to scale minions were minion mods and, well, minion mods. Now, you get a second set of options, though I would like to see a few more ways to add minion base damage as well, hopefully at some point in the future.
the key to defeating powerful enemies with an army of synthetic troops lies in learning how to effectively gain and maintain command. This new mechanic offers a more engaging and dynamic experience for hunters who prefer summoning builds.
Okay, before we get into this is the part I'm most excited for. I'm very much looking forward to the new crafting system.
The new crafting system in Torchlight Infinite aims to retain the advantages of the previous system while addressing issues such as the lack of excitement and surprises during crafting. The new system consists of two components, Prototype crafting and targeted processing. Prototype crafting allows hunters to lock up to 2 affixes on a piece of gear and re-randomize it into a prototype gear with up to 4 fixed affixes.
Okay, so you get up to 4 affixes and you can lock 2, and it looks like the cost scales just a little bit based on the embers applied. Because if we try to go back just a tad here, so with the embers applied, this is the cost of the item. I don't quite recognize that icon. I think that might be ruling. So one step below the restless and ominous. We've also locked 2 T1 mods. I don't know if that matters for the cost. I know on the earlier example, let's go a little bit back. Okay, so on that one also, it was 3 on an item level 100 chest. So maybe it's based on item level, or maybe it's based on locked affixes. But what about this? Yeah, so this one, it's item level 86. It also has no affixes locked, and it's much, much cheaper, which makes me think that the cost scales based on how many affixes you lock.
Hunters to lock up to 2 affixes.
Yep, there we go. See, it went from that to a flame sand, and then I bet it's going to go to a flame elementium when you lock the second one.
On a piece of gear.
Yep. The more you lock, the more expensive it gets. And you're also limited by plasticity now, which is kind of like last epoch's forging potential.
And re-randomize it into a prototype gear with up to 4 fixed affixes. This process retains advanced affixes on gear, but the plasticity of the original gear decreases with each craft. Prototype crafting is not possible on gear with 0 plasticity. This method enhances the looting experience, turning gear drops with advanced affixes into valuable crafting materials, and making the crafting process more exciting. Targeted processing replaces the old crafting method. While hunters can still use Amber to craft desired affixes, they no longer have the option to save or revert affixes when crafting a single affix. Instead, they can pay a certain cost to revert the gear to its initial states before target processing.
Okay, so you get a good base, which could be a matter of just rolling 2 affixes and getting rid of everything else, or it could be trying to roll a perfect 4 affix item, and then you target. You can keep it all or revert it all, which means if you have 5 good mods, it's going to be a lot easier to get what you want. I also noticed that the cost seems to be a bit lower than crafting in the past, although this is a completely new symbol that I don't recognize off the top of my head. We'll have to see a little bit. This is a system that, looking at it now, I can't quite tell how it's going to turn out in practice. My expectation is perfect items are more expensive, okay items are much cheaper, and overall the system is far more fulfilling.
It is recommended that hunters use prototype crafting to create good prototype gear, and then use target processing to craft other affixes. This combination makes obtaining powerful gear easier than before, but crafting the best gear becomes more challenging and strategic, enhancing the overall crafting experience for players.
And of course, when we see balance, we'll see more from the patch notes themselves. The fact that seething silhouettes here, kind of interesting, because he was a little bit of a sleeper last season.
Torchlight Infinite is constantly working on game balance adjustments and optimizations based on player feedback and testing. In the new season, many targeted improvements have been made to hero traits, skills, talents, and gear, with a special focus on legendary gear. More detailed information on these changes will be provided in the season update announcement in the community. Continual updates and optimizations are being made to enhance various aspects of the game. Some examples include single hit damage limit can now exceed 2.1 billion.
Which is going to be really important for certain builds. Right now, some builds were very heavily limited by not being able to exceed 2.1 billion single hit DPS. Now, they're going to be able to go over it, which means you don't build as much attack speed, or you don't build in weird ways because you couldn't simply hit the enemy harder.
Netherrealm map affix customization, skill effect transparency adjustments, auto channel for skills and other switch features, advanced search in the trade house including searching for repeated affixes, Path of the Brave improvements, addressing issues like the inability to pick up reverse after dying, Pack Spirits build configurations. These ongoing optimizations aim to provide players with a better gaming experience and ensure that the game continues to evolve and improving over time.
And so, those are my thoughts on the Cube of Rapacity reveal. There's a lot of interesting things. Personally, I'm most excited for the crafting system. I know a few people have seen it and already think it's a little scary seeing Flame Elementium there, but a couple things that I noticed immediately. You don't have to lock 2 affixes. You could use all of your plasticity with only 1 affix locked. That will make it much, much cheaper in exchange for making it a little more random. And 2, the second part of the crafting is much more controlled. It hopefully means you won't be just doing endless hundreds of attempts until you get perfection. You'll make something that fits well with the item, keep everything, and it'll be good. So while yes, the crafting steps are going to cost a few FE, it's going to cost a few FE rather than wanting to throw 20, 40, 80, oh wait, that's now 300? Because you're trying to craft those darn legendary affixes and the Omnis and Restless Embers just don't like you. But that said, this has already gotten quite long, so if you want to check out the rest of a season reveal, including my dev interview, something that I strongly recommend you do, especially if you have more questions, then do watch the official video. As you go down there to find it in the links, be sure to leave a like on this video, and get subscribed for more Torchlight Infinite content. With that said, a special thanks to my patrons and channel members for the continued support. For as low as $1 a month, you can help make videos just like this one possible. And if you want to see more reactions, you should absolutely let me know down in the comments. If you want to watch something else, I don't have anything too new about Torchlight, though you could always go back and watch some of my old videos. But I am going to be coming out with new things soon for Path of Exile, Torchlight Infinite, and many other games. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.